Shabbat shalom, everyone. Last night, I tossed and I turned, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't fall asleep because every time I did, I thought about the children, the 140 children that were inside the Temple Israel preschool in West Bloomfield, Michigan, when a car drove into the synagogue and shooting began. I thought about the children who were inside, sitting at circle time, playing in centers, building make-believe castles while battling dinosaurs and being superheroes. I thought about the children that were maybe learning about how Moses parted the sea and how Miriam led the people in song and dance. I thought about how maybe they were getting ready for Shabbat just a little bit early, or maybe doing Hebrew letter yoga. I thought about how they were just children, doing their job of being children. And I thought about how they almost didn't come home because they're Jewish. And then I thought about their parents, and my heart broke even further because I am that parent. Just like those moms and those dads in Michigan who let their toddlers pick out their mismatched clothes for the day, and they hurried them into their cars and put their child's hand into their teacher's for safekeeping while they were apart. So did I. And so when I see pictures of those children and their parents in Michigan, I see my children. We all see our children because they are our children. Thank you. I remember the first time that there was a lockdown here at the JCC when my children were in preschool. It was in November of 2023. There was a suspicious person in the building, and at that time I had a 2- and a 4-year-old. I remember the heart-pounding terror that I felt and the tears that sprang unbidden to my eyes, so scared that I could scarcely breathe. I remember texting anxiously other parents as we tried to ascertain what information was available, and I remember the feeling of relief when everything was okay. But yesterday, it was very nearly not okay. Yesterday, those children were at risk of not coming home into the waiting arms of their parents. Yesterday, the teachers and the staff and the heroic efforts of security guards saved every single person in that building. I choose, like so many of you, to send my children to Jewish preschool and to Jewish day school. I do so proudly. And I do it because I want to raise them to be proud Jews whose sense of Jewish identity is woven into the core of who they are, and so that they stand tall and strong and unabashedly proud in being Jewish. But I would also be lying if I didn't say that sometimes I'm a little scared. I'm scared because I'm afraid that my choices could put them in danger, because their very presence in a Jewish school or institution makes them a potential target for anti-Semitism. Because people blame our children, our toddlers, for actions and for wars and for terror that have nothing to do with them, here in Omaha or in West Bloomfield or in Jackson, Mississippi or in Bondi Beach, Australia. That is what anti-Semitism is. Anti-Semitism is ramming a car into a synagogue in America because of what is happening in Iran. Anti-Semitism is saying that the Jewish people as a whole are responsible and accountable for actions of a government that is not their own. Anti-Semitism is the comments on news articles that justify yesterday's attack on the children because of a war that they have no part in. I'm tired. We're all tired. I'm tired of the public's response of surprise and shock that seems to come in the wake of heinous anti-Semitism. I'm tired of explaining that security is something that isn't a luxury for our communities. I'm tired of explaining that nationally we pour hundreds of millions of dollars into making our communities safer instead of pouring those same resources into creating joyful Jewish experiences for our children. And just because we're tired, though, it doesn't mean we stop doing it, because we can't. We don't have the luxury not to worry about it. Last night at about 3:30 a.m., I crept down the hallway and I quietly opened each of my children's door and I watched them sleep, just to reassure myself that they were safe in their beds. And then I took a moment and I decided to change my paradigm and do something that I in fact tell many of you to do all the time. So every so often it does pay to take your own advice. I decided to think about Jewish joy. And as I looked at each of my babies, I thought about a few moments of Jewish joy that each of them have had in the past couple of days because I have chosen to raise them to believe that their Jewish schools and their synagogues and their community centers are their homes. I thought about how my 4-year-old and his friends helped to lead Shabbat in his class and how they couldn't wait to whisk the cover off the challah and help me set out the wooden candlesticks. And I thought of my 6-year-old, who I can always tell whether he's had a good day if I catch him singing his prayers from tefillah under his breath, or reenacting lines from his play that seems to be about burnt toast. And then my mind wandered to our temple kids, all of our kids. And I thought about how on Wednesday afternoon when I led tefillah, that the kids from 3rd grade through 6th grade were jumping out of their seats to volunteer to lead with me, and how when I didn't call on them, there were real, honest-to-goodness frowns until I said they could come up and join. Jewish joy will be what gets us through. It always is. It is always what has gotten us through. Rabbi Jen Lader, who is one of the rabbis at Temple Israel in Michigan, gave an interview with the Jerusalem Journal earlier today. And she said, "We are not a people who cower to acts of terror. We are not a people who run when things get difficult. We are a people who grow stronger. We are a people who show up and are there for each other. And we are a people who are proud to be who we are, and we are not going to let them win." So I invite you to take those words and the invitation to counter whatever it is that you're feeling with finding a moment of Jewish joy and asking others to do the same. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. And now we're going to continue with a moment of Jewish joy as we sing by Yom Hahu.